Welcome to Secure Strides, the podcast where we explore technology policy, cybersecurity, and digital trust, all towards advancing safety and security in today's connected world. In each episode, we'll talk to professionals, academics, and industry leaders about the latest trends, challenges, and solutions in cybersecurity. This is the show for you if you're preparing for the jobs of the future or working towards creating secure and reliable digital systems. Secure Strides is your guide to succeed in the digital age and understand the ever-changing world of cybersecurity. Welcome, Mwangala, to the Secure Strides podcast. It's a pleasure to have you here. You've had an impressive career rising to the top and becoming the CIO at Zambia Industrial Commercial Bank. I'd like you to take us back to the early days, the beginning of your career. Is this what you wanted to do or imagined yourself doing? And how did you navigate your career to get to this point?
Yes, in a lot of ways, I'd actually say yes. I think going to university, choosing to do a degree in computer science against all odds, actually, because I saw the future, I saw the now, and I wanted to be a part of it. So where I started working at Citibank in Lusaka as a system admin. What I loved about working at Citibank early stages of my career as my first job was it's a very high performance culture. So from a very, very young stage of my career, I knew exactly how to perform and that the work is about output. It has to be output driven, it has to be performance driven. It's not just about me reporting for work, but what have I actually done? So I learned that really, really well at a very early stage in my career at Citibank. So I loved that I started my career like that. So then it set me apart from some of the peers that I've met along the way. The other thing that I would credit my early career to me rising to the top of the IT industry and being a CIO is that I also, within 2 to 3 years, actually, the third year of working at Citibank in the early 90s, I was ready to leave. It shocked everybody, but it did not surprise me. Because for me, Citibank Lusaka, Zambia, is a far-flung country office in the Citibank group. So the group has got a very dominant role to play, and they pretty much, as an IT person, everything is done for you at group level. They pretty much say to you, plug everything in, switch everything on, leave the rest to us. That wasn't me. After 2 years, I felt I'd stopped growing and I needed to grow. And I needed another avenue that was going to give me that growth that I so needed at that stage in my career and I felt would set me apart. So I left Citibank in year 3 and I joined a project in Zambia that was consultants to the Zambian government. And it was from Harvard University. And we were modernizing the revenue services in Zambia. So for me, that was very, very exciting change. We're starting from zero base. And I remember at Citibank, our school country operations manager, country operations officer, our CEO, they didn't want me to leave because obviously I was a high performance individual. But when the CEO heard I was leaving to join the Harvard Institute for International Development, he came all the way to the IT office, which is, IT is usually back of the back offices, and he knocked on the
Right.
door and he was very excited. He said, Mwangala, I hear you're leaving to join the Harvard Institute. I said, yes. Well done, he said. In America, he's an American gentleman. He said, in America, Citibank and Harvard University are synonymous with excellence. You live with my blessings. And I was young. I
Wow.
was like 26 or 27. And so now going to join the Harvard Institute and going to set up and modernize. So I was on the modernization project for revenue services for the government, Zambian government. When we got into revenue services, there wasn't even a computer, there wasn't even a LAN, there wasn't even there was nothing. There was no database, there was no system, there was no desktop. So we built all that from scratch. So it was a very, very good project for me, because one of the things that I tell everybody is that, like now, fast forward to now, Zambia Industrial Commercial Bank, ZICB is a startup bank. It's only 5 years old. I was called in 2017 to say, can you lead the IT stream to set up this bank? And so I was on that project team. When the bank was launched, I was asked to stay back, first as head of IT, then as CIO. What is exciting about our bank is that because of the time we're born in the digital era, so we went straight through digital all the way. And as a result of that, within 3 years of launching the bank, we broke even and are a profitable bank. In the history of banking in Zambia, it's never been done. Even when big West African banks come to Zambia, EcoBank, Access Bank, UBA, big South African banks, FNB, it takes them up to 10 years to break even and make a profit. So with us, we credit our technology ecosystem and our digital banking for being able to achieve it in such a short period of time. And I credit my contribution to all this is that I can set up an integrated whatever system, whatever from scratch, and make it work and make it work to deliver value for the business, because it's not about just doing IT for the sake of it. It's about IT delivering value for the business. So that is, I guess, what differentiates me and from where I started my career and where I am now and looking back.
I'm curious if you had any form of sort of mentorship along the way.
I think the concept of mentorship, the way it's looked at now, and from my generation, you're talking the 90s, early 2000, when I was in the early stages of my career, the concept didn't exactly exist, at least not in my part of the world. But what was interesting for me personally, looking back, there were always people that I admired a lot. Either there were ladies in the ICT field, even public figures that I would follow and put into practice exactly what they recommend. So for me, the two ladies in Zambia, I would say mentored me is Patricia Lumbi. Patricia Lumbi was in ICT at Citibank, but by the time I joined, she'd gone to group, and she was, I mean, moving to group itself is such a big deal in Citibank. She'd gone to group and she'd joined the internal audit team. And I remember all this when the internal auditors are coming, when the Citibank auditors are coming, or we've got an auditor coming and she's a Zambian lady, and she was like, wow. And she rose to becoming the CEO of Citibank Zambia, the country CEO. So that's quite an achievement for somebody coming from IT. And generally, that to me was really, really, really um, a good affirmation that I was in the right career, because generally what people would tell you about IT, oh no, IT is a dead end career because all you can do is IT. Because the corporate world does not promote IT people to. And it's like I've always known that that's not true. That's not a true narrative, because I've seen people from an IT background rise to becoming internal auditors and to becoming CEOs. It's a choice you make. And so for me, Patricia, so I knew her from Citibank. When she was appointed CEO of Citibank Zambia, I actually made an appointment to go and see her and ask her a bit about what's going on and all that. But I didn't know that was mentorship. But of course, whatever it is she said, I probably left that office like, oh my God, now I understand what I need to do, kind of thing. So at
Right.
the time, we didn't really call it that. So the other lady in Zambia that I would say is one of my mentors is a lady called Gertrude Capello. She is actually on record in Zambia as the first female ICT specialist. So how I got to meet her, she was on the board of a very big commercial bank that I was working at. And so as IT, we're reporting, our board committee was reporting into her. And it was a wow experience. I learned a lot from that lady, because she used to give us very, very clear guidance in terms of what it is we need to be doing. And it was very, very valuable sitting with her every time, anytime, To date, I'm still very close to her. I have a very good relationship with her. She lives in Livingstone. Whenever I go to Livingstone, I spend time with her. And of course, the respect is mutual now because and I think that's the beauty of mentorship when the mentors don't realize what they do to the mentee. And so that's the person. So the other person that I've always looked up to and put into practice whatever it is they say, but they're a public figure, is Oprah Winfrey. If Oprah said, read this book, I read it. And that way I could acquire leadership skills, for instance. I admire her leadership style. So that to me is who I would say were or are my mentors. Yeah.
I love the mix. It's like having a varied board of directors in your career. And some people you know personally, some people you know socially, and then some people you know from a distance, like Oprah Winfrey. And each of them
Yeah.
plays a significant role
Yeah.
in making sure that you advance in your career. I wanted to get your thoughts
Yeah.
about some of the cybersecurity challenges we face in sub-Saharan Africa. This year, we've seen several headlines about incidents, various banks and fintechs across the continent. So, what are some of the ways that you've addressed the challenges you've seen in the sector as a CIO at a leading financial institution?
So the threats are real. Cybersecurity attacks are happening all the time. And as we digitize and go digital, it means even the criminals are moving online and constantly working around the clock to attack. So to prevent cyber attacks and to monitor the cyber threat and the cyber landscape and prevent for a financial institution like ours, to prevent the fraud as well, it's really critical that first of all, we stay away from just the hype because there is, in IT, there's always a hype cycle. If it's not cloud computing, it's cyber tech, it's AI, people just want to get involved without understanding the impact and the relevance of the institution. So with me, the approach I always take is that I'm very, very, very systematic and very structured and recommend that to anybody who wants to put up some level of cyber security. As a bank, as a financial institution, for us, the recommended approach I took and we took is that we took out there are several security standards you can adhere to and security frameworks you can adhere to. The choice is yours. Take a look at what is relevant in your industry. That's what I tell people whenever I speak to public forums and events with my colleagues in the industry in Zambia. Take a look at your industry and say, what is relevant for my industry? So like and then start there. So for instance, as an industry, as a financial institution, we have to be compliant to what is called the payments card industry data security standards, PCI DSS. This standard was developed by the big card issuers, MasterCard, Visa, etc. Because they will say to you, if you're going to issue our card or acquire our card, there's a minimum security standard you're going to have to meet. So the approach you should then take is that there are assessors who can assess your institution against the PCI standard and tell you where the gaps are and what you need to do to remediate those gaps. Then, with us as a bank, obviously we are a financial institution. Ultimately, every fraudster out there wants to attack a bank and get money out. So we have to take security at the highest level. So you take the ISO standard, we took the ISO standard, ISO 27001, as this is the highest standard of security that is there. So we would then assess ourselves against PCI DSS, against ISO. We understand what the gaps are, we understand what the roadmap is to get to that level of security. So when you take that systematic approach, yeah, what that does for you is that it starts addressing all areas of your vulnerability from your people, from your technology, your infrastructure. So, like in banking, every quarter you have to do what is called a vulnerability and penetration testing just to make sure somebody can attack you from the outside, somebody can attack you from the inside. You have to put in place processes. Fraudsters, cyber attackers are not going to take time off because it's evening, because it's a weekend, nobody is working. 24 by 7, your environment has to be not has to be monitored. And when it comes to your staff, your customers, raising that awareness as well. For us as a bank, we focus a lot on our security awareness for our staff. And as a result of that, it saved us a lot from some near critical misses. The one example I can give you, we had our commercial team go finalize a loan application with a big corporate entity in Zambia, a loan that was going to run in the hundreds of millions. They got back to the office, handshake, disperse the money. Just before disbursement, an email that looks exactly like the customer arrives. Don't disperse this money into this bank account. Disperse the money into this bank account. Fortunately,
Wow.
the relationship manager was smart enough to say something doesn't add up here. And that's what we tell our users. If something doesn't look right, do something about it. Ask somebody. Get call the customer. Why have you changed the bank account? And when did you open this bank account? The customer is like, we didn't open no bank account. What are you talking about? All hell broke loose. That money would have been dispersed into a fraudulently opened bank account, and the nature of these fraudsters is that money flies out of these bank accounts at such a fast pace once it got it on the wrong side. So cybersecurity is critical for financial institution, and when we see the headlines coming through, this institution is attacked. The big one, the Chinese syndicate that was stopped in Zambia, when I see those headlines, for me, yes, there's headlines, but sometimes what could be missing is beyond that headlines. What else could have happened in this institution? What went wrong? Or what is there anything we need to do to protect ourselves? So we have discussions with the risk teams, the cybersecurity teams, the SOC teams. What could have happened here? Where were the gaps? Where were the lapses? Was it a process failure? Was it a systemic failure? And because we've seen institutions here in Zambia where they invest so much in cybersecurity, they buy everything, this tool, that solution, that one, that one. When they've lost money, you ask them, but you had this tool, weren't you using it? It was sending you alerts. Didn't you see the alerts? Actually, we didn't have a person who could understand what these alerts meant. Yeah, so be very systematic, be very structured, and be very systematic, and work with a team of experts, and literally go into lockdown. And even sometimes, at least in our bank, where we've picked up an activity that we knew this is an ongoing fraud, we've alerted law enforcement agencies, and people have actually been arrested in the act of withdrawing money. And the nature of our security is that once people are aware that they're being watched, they tend to not to try to do anything. But what I tell the team all the time, we don't relax. Just because we think we've got everything, it's about what else. That's why all these incidences that come up in the world, we need to understand. Can we get insight into what happened? What could we be missing? What else can we be doing? So that's my approach to cybersecurity. But I don't work on my own. I've got a very solid team around me.
I wanted us to talk about your recent recognition in the industry. You received multiple awards, but most recently, for your contributions to the field, you received the Best CIO in the SADC region at the Africa Bank 4.0 Award. Congratulations on that recognition. What does this award mean to you, and how do these
Yeah.
recognitions influence your leadership style?
Thank you very much. It's really heartwarming to get recognition for hard work, because when you are barreled down and working really hard, and like for a startup like this bank is, and where people are actually skeptical if it's going to work, and when it actually does work and you actually get the recognition, it's like, wow, yeah, this is it feels really good. And for this award as a leading CIO in the SADC region, the Southern African region, so this award is given to the CIOs demonstrated exemplary leadership and technical expertise in driving digital transformation initiative. This is what it's all about. I always tell my team members IT technology should not be about the sake of doing technology. It's about delivering value, driving value for the business. So with our bank, ZICB, why ZICB is a success story is that with us, when we started up, when the project team was set up, it was set up with a multitudes of very, very experienced bankers. And our first, before we did anything, we spent hours and days and weeks and months developing a strategy for the bank. And we studied. And because most of us were seasoned bankers, we could talk about all the banks in the country, what they were doing right, what they were doing wrong, where the gap was. So we knew exactly where to position ourselves. And we knew exactly now the technology to enable what it is we wanted to achieve. And then the hard work began to implement all these systems and bring them all together to drive a modern digital bank. So it was very, very challenging. I knew I could do it. And I knew I could do it so long as I got the support from the rest of the team and I got the right team members and service providers working together. And we did it. And we knew we could do it. There was a point where I just knew, even if we were skeptical, I just knew this is it, we've got it, we're going to get it right. So, fast forward now to getting the awards, I'm really, 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 I feel very blessed. I feel very happy. I feel very fulfilled. And my part now is to give back to the next generation of IT professionals. And I've always been somebody, when I work with people, everybody I work with, I say to them, I'm not one of those people who's going to climb the corporate ladder, reach the top, take away the ladder, and say, the rest of you figure out how I got up here. I'm a true believer is that I'm only a leader so long as I can develop other leaders. So I'm very proud of the IT team here at the bank. I've got a very solid, phenomenal team, guys. The team, hardworking, smart, sharp, delivers, solution oriented. They don't stop till the problem is solved. I love that. We've cultivated that. It's our culture as IT. And then as a leader as well, I've got to look at the next generation of IT professionals. So there's a dire
Absolutely.
shortage of IT skills in our country and all over the world. It's one thing to say there are no skills, but you've got to contribute. So what we've got in our department at the bank is that we've got internship programs where graduates straight from university that have graduated with a degree in IT or cybersecurity, information security, computer science, they join us for 6 to 9 months. After that 9 months period, we retain them as employees in the bank or we release them to the industry.
If we were to build a toolkit for a young person there, what would your advice be to young people aspiring to enter and excel in IT and cybersecurity?
Throw yourself in, learn. IT is the most exciting environment. Every day, if you go in with that attitude, you're here to learn. You're going to grow at a much faster rate than you expect. There's a tendency to branch off too quickly, like into the non-technical side. So I saw my colleagues becoming project managers. Everybody told me, even now people tell me, there's nothing wrong with project management. But remember, you hit the glass ceiling a lot quicker. That's my view. Okay? I saw my female colleagues going to join sales and do pre-sales. That I totally refused to do. I remained tech, because I loved it as well. And because I love to learn, I love new things. New things excite me and challenge me. And I want to see when I moved into management. I was working in South Africa then, and we're sitting in an open plan office with all my colleagues. Somebody walked in and asked a question, and all the entire team turned around and said, "Just go and ask Mwangala over there. She's the one who knows how everything works here." I said, "Okay, this is it. I'm becoming a manager now." And for me, I just did not even say now I'm going into management in IT. I actually went and even did
Mhm.
an MBA. And I was not going
Right.
to do an MBA at any random business school. I said, I'm going to do an MBA at the top business school in Africa, Wits Business School. I applied the first
Mhm.
time. It's very competitive to enter. I was not selected. All that taught me I had a lesson to learn about what I did wrong. Second time, I was selected and I entered Wits Business School. And part of the selection is that you've got to have a C suite person to recommend you. And when I went to get my recommendation, one of my two recommendations at C level, when I went to get my recommendation to enter the business school, the gentleman giving me, he was the CEO for the George Soros Foundation in South Africa. All he said to me, he said, I know you can do it. One of the things about the MBA is not difficult. You just have to learn how to multitask. And generally, females are very good multitaskers. And I know you for a fact are one of those. So I've got no problem with giving you the recommendation. So, so don't, when you're making a decision to branch off in your career, be very deliberate and have a long-term goal in terms of what it is. So I knew if I'm going to be a CIO one day, I'm going to have to understand the business. So read financial statements, understand what you know, and everywhere I've worked, people are actually surprised. You actually have an MBA. I said yes, I've got an MBA because I decided that I was ready for my. But I'm very solid technically as well, and I invested in that as well. So young people starting out, don't rush for. I made an offer, and it's going to pay me more money. Are you going to grow? I have at my old job, I was working with a big commercial bank here in Zambia before I joined ZICB. And a young man, very talented, we are really, really mentoring him. When he came and he said he was leaving, I said, first job, I said, where are you going? Just sit down there. You're not going to grow there. You're going to stagnate. And second job, he actually called me. I'd left by then. He said he was going to Airtel mobile money. I said, yeah, go. There's pressure there. Go. You're going to learn a lot there about working under pressure. So with him now, I'm definitely one of the people he counts as a mentor. Any career move he is making, he consults me. And is very appreciative of that advice and guidance that I've given. I've had, yeah. So young people, don't be in a hurry. Don't chase the money. You're going to limit your career. Because what will happen is that your colleagues that you left behind because you chased that money are growing, and then they will bypass you, and then you wonder what happened to you. So be patient with yourself, invest in your career, study, understand. For me, whatever piece of technology is given in front of me, was given in front of me. Friday, if I had to go on Friday, literally lock myself up Saturday, Sunday, Monday, walk out, I'm an expert. I used to do that. And that's what it takes to invest in your career. And for people to say, there's that expert, people to call you and say, hi, we're setting up a bank. We need you to come and lead the project stream. We're doing this. We need you to come and sit on this, to come and give us advice on in terms of what's going on with our systems. We need you to consult and go and check out, do a due diligence at this site. So we need you to be a mentor. We need you to show other young people how to go about their careers. So young people need to know that you've got to invest. And I always say, as a Christian, most people in Zambia are Christian. I even tell them, which Bible are you reading? Because even the Bible says, those who sow will harvest. So, what seeds are you sowing now? And what makes you think
Right.
that you should just harvest and harvest and harvest and harvest? So that would be my guidance to young people, and that is the guidance I give to the young people around me.
I love that. What seeds are you sowing? As we wrap up,
Yeah.
I wanted you to touch on work life balance. You recently climbed Mount Kilimanjaro. So, how do you actually balance all these activities? Because you do have a demanding role as a CIO. How do you make time for all that?
First of all, the running. So I'm usually out running 4:35 in the morning. Now, what is interesting is that, particularly Saturday mornings, I'm an early riser. I wake. My dad was like that. I wake up by 6. I have to be out of bed. When I go to places where they wake up late, I'm like, when are these people going to get out of bed? So on Saturday mornings, usually I'm doing long runs with the running group that I run with. My family actually loves me for it because otherwise I'm the person who's, why are you guys still sleeping? So they actually prefer that I'm out of the house and I'm running. So then when it comes to work-life balance, what it is with my family, we are very clear in terms of taking time off work. So we are big on local tourism in Zambia. We travel together a lot. We go to the big falls. We walk with lions. So we always taking time off. We always, at least once, twice a year, we are always taking, and when it's time off from work, it's time off for work. It's family time, it's family time. I'm very clear about that. One of the reasons why I love exercise as well. Exercise gives me that energy boost to be able to do the many things that I have to do. When I don't work out, when I don't exercise, when I'm unfit, my energy levels are so depleted I can't do anything at all. So that's that energy boost that I need, and it gives me that balance in turn for me to have focus, clarity, attention, and all that because I'm very very fit. When I'm not fit, when I'm unfit, I've got brain fog, I'm a little bit sluggish, and all that. So for me, that's what exercise does. And remember, I think I'm an extremely productive person. I am so ruthlessly efficient.
That's amazing. Efficiency definitely is key and will take anyone very far. It was such a pleasure talking
Yeah.
with you on the show today, Mangala. My final question for you in cyber, I really love the concept of resilience and how we bounce back from those difficult times or those difficult attacks. Earlier on in the episode, you sort of mentioned about how when an incident happens with your team or when you see a cyber incident attack in the news, you always like to go back and reflect. In your final word, when you think about some of the most challenging days in your career or the worst day that you've had, how did you bounce back from that and what did it teach you about yourself?
We've all had our fair share of challenges. No career is without challenges. For me, one that really stands out, and I think every working mother is going to experience, is after my daughter was born and I went back to work. I had a rough night. The baby had been up, and I was really struggling to keep awake. And we had a meeting with the CIO for one of the big mining firms. We're a service provider to this company, and I dozed off and I fell asleep. And the CIO of this
Wow.
institution then told me, yeah, it had been a rough night. Then told my boss that he never wanted me to see me at his institution again because I'd fallen asleep in the meeting, and I wasn't serious. Now, this is where it gets interesting. My boss knows that there's no
Right.
such thing as me not being serious. And he actually understood completely, and that this guy was not like very supportive of the other gender and the other race and all that. But what it is, what you need to realize in life
Right.
is that pay forward, pay your career forward. Let your management team, your supervisors know the quality of a person they're dealing with. That one incident, they'll actually come to your defense
Hmm.
and protect you because they know how valuable you are. So that's what I learned to pay forward. So when and this gentleman,
Hmm.
how I'll give you an example of why for instance, I was the one sitting in that meeting after I came back from maternity leave. When I joined this company, it was actually Bytes, a big IT firm in South Africa, were service providers to it's all over Johannesburg. I'd just moved to Johannesburg. And what I would do is, so for the week, so I was a field technician, I had to drive to customer sites. And I would study the routes of where the sites are, because Johannesburg is a huge city. And I would know exactly how long it would take me so that at the customer site, I don't have to be late. I structure my timing so well. And oftentimes, say I'm at Reuters are the providers of the treasury systems for most financial institutions. At the time they were in downtown Johannesburg, say there was an incident I'd gone to resolve at Reuters, my boss would call me and say, we've got a big problem. We're in Bedford View. This company, this has happened. The system is down. How soon can you be there? I'd dash over to Bedford View. And then you knew that I'd solve the problem. So he would even tell the customers, I'm sending my top engineer there. Will make sure the issue is resolved as soon as she gets there because the team on site is not able. And then when I get there, I mean, and this is like 1997, 1998, and South Africa is so wide, and in walks in the skinny black girl, and they're all looking like, okay, this is their top engineer. Okay, where's the server room? It's over there. Mwangala walks in. Tum, tum, tum. Did you guys do this? Did you check this? Did you get 30, 20 minutes later, service is restored. Like, what? Your team has been here for 2 days. So, yeah. So,
Wow.
challenging days. use them. So that would, challenging days, when there was a problem, when there's an outage at a big customer site, me, I used to rush there because I want to be remembered as the person that solved the problem. One of the things that launched my career in South Africa, very male, very white dominated posts. South Africa had just been independent a few years, literally living through history. I remember one of the biggest customers we had was a De Beers group of companies, and I really, really wanted to go and work at De Beers. But obviously, my supervisors were a bit worried because the culture fit, and I could understand. I didn't fight it. But I looked for the opportunity. I told my colleagues at the BS, I said to them, okay, guys, you know me, I solve problems. Next time you guys have a problem that you can't solve, call me. And for sure, they called me. They said, Mwangala, this mass mailing virus worm, Melissa, had hit the DBS group. We keep cleaning it up, but there's a site in Botswana and Botswana. These guys, we don't know what's wrong with them. They are reinfecting everybody. We need somebody on site to go and clean up the virus infection. Can you go? The BS have got jets, they fly you all over the world. A plane waiting for you at the airport. Do you have a passport? Mwangala was jumping on that plane, flying to Orapa, which is in the middle of Botswana, to Botswana. And mid-flight, apparently the boss calls the guys and says, who authorized Mwangala to go to Botswana? And so they all said, we all just kept quiet. I landed in Botswana. I went straight to the IT department. I worked until 4 a.m. I cleaned out all their staff had left, cleaned out everything. 8:30, I was in the office, in the head of IT's office. I had a report. I said, the fact that you're infected by this virus is actually a bigger symptom of the problems you have. You don't patch your environment. You don't, some of you are missing this year, da, 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 da. He looked at me like, where did you come from? Can you stay? I'm calling Johannesburg now. Can you stay? I became the darling of the years. I was elevated. I was just, yeah. So pay forward, do something that people should
Wow.
say, yeah, yeah. So that's challenging days. Throw yourself into challenging days. If anything, the knowledge you're going to acquire is what's going to launch you to the next step. And if somebody says something negative, like, I don't want this girl on this question is serious, the boss says, that man has got a problem, don't worry, we'll send you to customers who appreciate you, and there are many more. Yeah, forget about that one. Yeah.
That is an amazing point to end the show. Thank you so much, Mangala, for being on the Secure Strides podcast. And we look forward to keeping up with your work and being under your mentorship. It's really a pleasure to know you, and thank you for supporting this initiative.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. And all the best in everything you do.